So the flagship killer space is booming, and we've seen a lot of new phones launch in this segment. Now you already know about the Realme X50 Pro, but the two new devices that launched recently are the OnePlus 8 and the iPhone SE 2020, quite surprisingly. So the purpose of this video is very simple. I'll be running benchmarks, playing PUBG and Call of Duty on all three phones, and in the end I'll tell you which is the best phone for gaming. Let's go. But guys, before we get on with the video, make sure to hit the bell icon and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any awesome tech content that we put out. Now that you've done that, let's get on with the video. Okay guys, so this right here is the OnePlus 8. So we're going to start our gaming comparison by playing games on the OnePlus 8. So as you can see, I've closed all the apps right now. There's nothing running in the background, and the smartphone is currently at 96% battery level. So the format that we'll be using for today's test is we'll play 2 games of PUBG's TDM, 1 game of Call of Duty CTF on all 3 phones, and we'll also run Antutu benchmark at the end. So yeah, so let's start with PUBG for the time being. So this is, by the way guys, this is the first time I'm playing games on the OnePlus 8 and the iPhone SE 2020. I have some experience playing PUBG on the Realme X50 Pro, and if I remember correctly, the X50 Pro, when I tested it back in the day, could only play PUBG at HDR and ultra frame rates. So I hope that's changed. But yeah, okay, so the game is going to take a while to... Okay, it's done. The battery is now at 95%. I don't know if you guys can see, it is now at 95%. So you can play the game on HDR and extreme. I think this is the only 865 smartphone that I've tested so far which does this. Both the iQOO 3 as well as the Realme X50 Pro, when I tested them back in the day, they could only play it on HDR and ultra. Maybe the thing has changed now, so I like to play it on colorful. Anti-aliasing should be enabled, shadows are enabled. Yeah, and auto adjust graphics is disabled. Great. Apply both. Yes, we have a baller phone. We are going to play it at the max possible settings. Okay, let's download the TDM. Alright, so we are going to play TDM now. Volume max. And guys, already I can tell you the phone is getting a little warm, which isn't really good. But yeah, it's getting a little warm. Okay. So my impressions of the performance so far, it is flagship level. Obviously I am playing this game on the OnePlus 8, 865 processor. This one has 12 gigs of RAM also, so I didn't really expect any slowdowns in PUBG or in any other game for that matter. The one thing that I will say is that the phone is getting quite warm, and especially the camera module is getting warm to the touch. This metal trim right here is actually getting warmer than the camera module also. So yeah, anyway, we are just going to jump into another match now. By the way, I love playing with the SCAR. I do have other guns unlocked. I just like playing with the SCAR. Okay, so as far as the gaming performance is concerned, it's a great phone to play games, right? I have not noticed one frame drop so far on the OnePlus 8. I played 2 TDM matches. We've been gaming for the last 15-20 minutes. It's great. It's fantastic. The only thing is it's getting very warm to the touch. Warmth you'd expect from this game, from this phone, right? So it's just noticeably warm towards the top here, extremely warm towards the back here. So yeah, anyway, let's just jump on to Call of Duty without wasting any more time. We've been playing for 12 minutes and 32 seconds on this. Okay, so the battery, by the way guys, has dipped to 90% from 95%, and we've been playing for 12 minutes and 43 seconds now. So we are at Call of Duty now. So the first thing again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the graphic settings that you can play this game on. So again, very high and max, depth of field is turned on, ragdoll is on, anti-aliasing is on, everything is on, right? Bloom, whatever, doesn't matter. So very high and max is what you can play Call of Duty on the OnePlus 8. These are the highest possible settings to my knowledge. You can't really play it on any higher preset on any other phone, so that's great. You're getting flagship tier gaming performance with the OnePlus 8. So I'm going to increase the volume now, and we are just going to jump into a couple of games on COD. So okay, let's start frontline. So guys, one thing that I want to talk to you about is, like, if you see any reviewer complaining a lot when they're playing a game, if they're complaining a lot about the game, well, that means the performance of the phone is solid. But if they're complaining about, lags and all, then obviously the performance is not good. Yep, good game. GG guys. Okay, I don't know why it was so close by the end. The other team was really not that good, if I'm being honest with you. But what was good was the gaming performance on the OnePlus 8. Absolutely loved playing it. Very smooth. And you can tell that Call of Duty is not as graphically intensive because I can feel the phone not being as warm right now. It was pretty warm when I was playing PUBG. So yeah. On the whole, really impressed with the performance. No lags, no stutters, no frame drops, nothing. Playing it on max settings. So yeah, let's jump into another game. Oh, 25 kills. So a lot of people don't want to use a tac scope in this map. I love using a tac scope in this map, and I'll show you why. Because you see this corner right there, that is where the snipers perch. And if you're just running out of your section, it's very easy for them to scope you, but not if you have a tac scope on your gun. I mean, that's just my preference. I know a lot of people will give me hate in the comments for using a tac scope, so I've made my peace with it, guys. Okay, this wasn't a very good team. Yeah. Anyway, we've played 2 frontline matches and we've played 2 PUBG TDM matches. We have been playing non-stop for the past 30 minutes actually. So now let's see what exactly is the battery percentage at, and I'll give you my final impressions of the performance. The battery percentage right now is at 86%, as you guys can see. Yeah, see there. 86% right now. What are my impressions of the OnePlus 8's performance so far? Well, it's a pretty good phone, but the one thing that is a very glaring issue right now is that it does heat up. It's not a very good phone to play games for longer sessions, and the only reason I say that is because it heats up. The performance is absolutely fine. If you feel like you don't really care about the device heating up, if it's not going to bother you, then obviously you can play games on this for about for hours and hours and hours on end. But from where I stand, 30 minutes in, this phone is getting pretty warm to the touch. I'm sure all phones do, but this one is just it's a little it's more warm than what I'm used to. I usually play games on the OnePlus 70 Pro, and that does not get as warm for sure. So yeah, anyway, this has been it with the OnePlus 8. Now we are going to move on to the Realme X50 Pro, and then finally the iPhone SE 2020. The next phone that we will be testing PUBG and Call of Duty Mobile on is the Realme X50 Pro. Now this phone also comes with the Snapdragon 865 processor, and this variant comes with 8GB of RAM. Now as you can see, currently the battery is at 95%, and I have disabled the smart power saver mode, which Realme automatically turns on the second you boot the phone. So we're going to get maximum performance with this device now, and let's just hop into a game of PUBG with this phone. And yeah, let's play 2 TDM matches on this and then 2 frontline matches for the same. This phone can also, as you can see, play PUBG on HDR and Extreme, much like the OnePlus 8 Pro. The OnePlus 8. As you can see, I have anti-aliasing enabled, shadows have been enabled, and automatic adjusting of graphics has been disabled. So right now it's running PUBG at the highest possible settings, which is great. I have Evo ground set up, so let's just jump into a match now. I don't really expect either of these three phones to have any performance issues when gaming, to be honest. It's more about which one I feel the most comfortable playing with. The OnePlus 8 was a great performer, no lags, no stutters, but it did get warm to the touch quite a lot. So my impressions after playing one game of TDM on the Realme X50 Pro are really positive. Obviously, no lags, no stutters. The temperature is also not as much as it was on the OnePlus 8. Especially this back trim, this is pretty cool. I expected this to heat up a little more. The metal trim also is, it's a little warm, but it's not as warm as the OnePlus 8 was for sure after first game. So without any further ado, let's just jump into another game. And so that's the end of PUBG TDM on the Realme X50 Pro. Yeah, so impressions after the game, it is definitely warming up. I can feel this metal trim around the smartphone warming up quite a bit. The rails are also quite warm now. About as warm as the OnePlus 8 was, to be honest with you. And if you look at the battery percentage, then right now the phone is at 91% battery. Okay, great. So let's clear everything in the memory and let's start Call of Duty now. Okay guys, so we are now in Call of Duty mobile with the Realme X50 Pro. So first things first, let's take a look at the audio settings and graphics. So again, just like the OnePlus 8, this also plays it at very high and max. We are going to turn on depth of field, bloom, ragdoll and anti-aliasing, and that's about it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a frontline game, and yeah, let's go. So I think their sniper carried them in this game, but anyway, as far as the gaming performance of the X50 Pro is concerned, it is fantastic. Absolutely don't blame the device for losing this game. There were no frame drops, no lags, no stutters. The temperature has actually gone down, and that is something that I noticed with the OnePlus 8 as well, that when I was playing Call of Duty Mobile, the temperature actually went down, which just goes on to show that PUBG Mobile is a more graphically demanding game. Okay. Oh wow, what a serious lag. What? Why is my ping so high? What's going on? Okay, what is going on? I don't understand. Why is the ping so high all of a sudden? Okay, so game number 2 of Call of Duty Mobile is also complete. Again, excellent performance on the Realme X50 Pro. No lags, no frame drops, nothing of the sort. The game ran absolutely fine on the maximum possible settings, and it's not that warm to the touch as the OnePlus 8 was. So now, with that said, let's move on to the iPhone SE2. Okay guys, so finally we have the iPhone SE2, and this one is really compact. Yeah, so as you can see, I have PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile installed on the phone. So let's just start PUBG first, and the volume has to be maxed out. So yeah, again, it's going to be interesting to see just how comfortably I can game on the smaller screen. Now, the performance I'm sure is not going to be that much of a problem. This does have the A13 chip after all. But the biggest doubt in my mind is that if this is a good phone for gaming at all, because it's again a very small display. It's a compact phone. Anyway, moving on. As you can see, graphics HDR Extreme is available. Ultra HD is obviously not available, just checking. Colorful, anti-aliasing is enabled, shadows have been enabled, and yeah, alright, great, apply. So as you guys can see, this phone also plays PUBG at the same exact settings as the OnePlus 8 does or the Realme X50 Pro does. So what we are going to now do is we are going to download the TDM, and yeah, let's just quickly jump into 2 games of TDM followed by Call of Duty Mobile's Frontline. So guys, the gameplay is pretty smooth, as you guys can tell. The gameplay wasn't really going to be an issue with this phone. This is a flagship after all. I mean, it has flagship specs, even if you don't consider it a flagship. But it's difficult. See, like, the player automatically stops because I'm used to sprinting all the way here. But as you can see, as soon as I reach the bezel here, it just automatically stops because there's no screen there, right? So if you're coming from a smartphone with a 6+ inch display, it's going to be really difficult to acclimate yourself to play on this phone because, like I said, the screen just stops here. So it's, see, like, I was trying to move left in this particular, I was trying to move left so that I could see the person better, but I just couldn't because the analog stick wouldn't register my function there. Okay guys, so one thing that I'll tell you right now is that in terms of thermals, this phone is the absolute worst when it compared to the other two. Yeah, I can't move it though. Okay. And the second thing is, in terms of thermals, this phone is not very good. The rear camera module is so warm right now. This is the warmest I've felt the rear camera module go. Also, this power button right here is, as you can see, I'm not really putting my pointer on it because it's actually pretty warm to the touch. And so ideally I would play like this, but I have to play like this because the button is just too warm. I mean, we're going to win this game, and the gameplay, as you can see, there were no frame drops, there were no jitters, anything. The temperatures are really warm. They shouldn't be this warm. I saw you coming that way. Come on.
Blue team victory.
Great. Okay, so initial impressions after one game of PUBG TDM on the iPhone SE 2020. This phone is not handling thermals very well. I'll be very honest with you, I don't really see myself gaming for extended periods with this phone. Also, one thing that I did not tell you guys is that the battery was at 100% when I started this game, and now it's at 95%. So a 5% dip already, and we have only played one game of PUBG TDM on this phone. I don't know, man, it's just not shaping up to be a very comfortable phone to game on. Especially the rail right here, this is getting too warm to the touch. Even the camera module at the back. Okay, so second game of PUBG TDM now. And
Team
we're
match.
off.
Let's go.
Not having a bigger screen is a very big problem in this game. It's obviously affecting the way I strafe. Yeah, see, it's very difficult to strafe when you're playing on the iPhone SE 2020. I mean, the performance is not bad. The performance is top notch. One, it's getting too warm, and secondly, the movement is a big problem because of the smaller display. I am seeing frame drops now. There are noticeable frame drops now in the game. Yeah, the game is very choppy now. Okay guys, so now we are going to play Call of Duty on the iPhone SE 2020 Frontline. 2 games. First things first, I'm going to show you the graphics setting. And here, as you can see, very high and max again available on this phone as well. All the toggles have been turned on, and without any further ado, let's just jump into a multiplayer game. See, I'm more worried about playing Call of Duty on this phone because this requires slightly more strafing. So yeah, I keep pressing the ADS key. I mean, the screen is too cramped, right? There's not a lot I can do with it. See, again, I'm not pressing that. You see, it is just so. I can't really play with my thumb here, right? So I'm not really pressing that key. It just happens. And it stops moving because, well, obviously I run out of screen again. So yeah, the grenade key was superimposed on the secondary weapon key. I clicked the grenade and then I couldn't switch back to my actual weapon. I mean, clearly this game is not really meant to run on such a small screen. I don't really know what else to say, guys. The performance is solid. There were no lags, no stutters. The temperature again has gone down, which shows again that PUBG Mobile is just a more demanding game. Everything is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the performance. It's just that it's not a... I'm not convinced with the gaming performance of the SE at all. Also guys, I'm really sorry if you feel like I'm whining a lot right now, but I'll be honest with you, iPhone SE 2020, I'm just not having fun playing COD or PUBG on this phone. I mean, the performance is fine, it's just that I'm not really enjoying the smaller screen and how crammed everything is, and how if I select the grenade, then it takes a while before I can select my main gun. Thank God. So if you take a look at the battery, it's at 80% now. So 2 games of PUBG TDM, 2 games of Frontline, 100% to 80%. Well, I've played games on all these 3 phones. Now it's time for the verdict. Okay guys, so last but certainly not the least, let's run Antutu benchmark on all the 3 phones, so just how well they perform in synthetic benchmarks. So starting the test now. So, verdict time. Which is the best phone to play games on? Well, between the OnePlus 8 and the Realme X50 Pro, I have to say that I enjoyed playing games on both the phones equally, but if I had to pick a winner, then my choice would be the Realme X50 Pro. Why? Well, firstly because it did not heat up as much as the other 2 phones, which isn't really surprising if you consider that this is the only phone in the segment, not in the segment, but between the 3 phones that I'm comparing today, that comes with its own vapor cooling chamber. So heat dissipation is obviously going to be better on the Realme X50 Pro as compared to the OnePlus 8 and the iPhone SE 2020. Also, the battery drain was the least, and after about 2 games of PUBG's TDM and 2 games of Call of Duty Frontline, the Realme X50 Pro dipped only 7% in battery life, which is great. Now, coming to the OnePlus 8, don't get me wrong, this is a solid phone for gaming, but the only problem is that it does heat up quite a bit. So this is my second choice here today. Okay, now let's come to the iPhone SE 2020, and I just did not enjoy playing games on this phone. Why? Well, couple of reasons. Firstly, the display is just too small, so your fingers will constantly fight for space on the screen. And this phone was clearly not meant for intensive games like Call of Duty, as there were issues with button mapping too. I mean, half the game I was worried if I throw the grenade, then I won't be able to switch back to my main gun. And the other times I was just not able to turn quickly enough because I just ran out of screen real estate. Also, the battery drain on the iPhone SE 2020 was noticeably worse off than when compared to the OnePlus 8 and the Realme X50 Pro. And after just 2 games of PUBG TDM and 2 games of Call of Duty Frontline, this phone dipped 20% in battery life. And the thermals were obviously not that good. This phone got the most warm when I was playing games on it, and obviously because of that there was noticeable thermal throttling after the first game of PUBG, where I saw frame drops, which is not something that I noticed with the other 2 phones. Even though they did get warm, they did not drop frames. So the iPhone SE 2020 on the whole is good for a lot of things, for a lot of different use cases, but one of them is definitely not gaming. So if you want a cheap iPhone for gaming, maybe get the iPhone XR, because that comes with an equally capable processor and it should run all the games just fine. Oh, and one more thing, I just don't think that the Antutu benchmarking app is optimized for iPhones. I mean, sure, the SE is terrible at gaming, but still it has an E13 chip in it, so the score should not be that low. But guys, that wraps up this comparison between the OnePlus 8, the Realme X50 Pro and the iPhone SE 2020. Do let me know in the comments below which phone would you pick for gaming, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, do give us a big thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Until next time, this is Prateek from Mr. Phone signing off.